I'm Kristin Dovbniak, holistic nutritionist and mama of two, and this is the Healthy Balanced Mama podcast, a podcast about ditching the diet dogma, embracing intuitive eating, real food, and living healthy, happy, and whole. Please note the information and opinions on this podcast are intended for information and inspiration only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Please consult with your healthcare practitioner before making any changes. Now, on to the show. For a long time, I was convinced I had food freedom. I thought, I eat anything I want, as long as it's clean. I eat anything I want, as long as it doesn't have any added sugar. I eat anything I want, as long as it's on the weekend. I eat healthy during the week. I convinced myself that restricting entire food groups was my version of food freedom. That it didn't feel restrictive at all when I went out and had to drink water with lemon while everyone else was ordering because it wasn't compliant to the cleanse I was on at the time. I could eat it if I wanted to, but I just didn't want it. There are even diet plans out there that try and convince you of this fake food freedom, often under the guise of wellness. Just severely restrict yourself and only let back in what feels really, really good, not considering how your body might feel after being restricted for weeks on end. Yeah, this is finding your food freedom. And they tell you it's all about 80-20. Eat clean 80% of the time, and the other 20% of the time, eat whatever you want. But if you cheat during your usual 80, then what happens? Guilt, usually. And then often, the what the heck effect ensues, where we just eat everything in sight and vow to get back on track next week. And the cycle continues because, my friends, this is not food freedom. Freedom is not conditional. That's the antithesis of freedom. You're still bound by rules surrounding how you should eat without regard to how your body actually feels eating all types of foods. Something you can only find when you allow yourself unconditional permission to eat. Now, this isn't with disregard for what feels good to your body. That's an important and necessary component to intuitive eating. But you still have to allow yourself freedom to eat all foods to find what feels good. Of course, food freedom is going to look different for everyone. Some people simply can't eat gluten, the protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, whether they have celiac disease, another autoimmune condition, or IBS. For them, freedom is found in choosing foods that they want to eat that are gluten-free. Not as a militant regulation, but as self-care, because for them, freedom is found in feeling good. What's not the same? Eschewing gluten, dairy, grains, and having a panic attack at the sight of sugar on a food label because you're just convinced you'll ruin your health if you eat that kind of poison. Different foods work for different people. Some find eating an entirely plant-based diet incredibly freeing, and if that's a value you hold, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Restricting your foods because someone told you that you should eat that way to be healthy, that's the diet mentality creeping back in. But I know it can be confusing when you're navigating the world of intuitive eating, but also have a desire to eat healthfully, feel good, and nourish your family. I get it. I was there too. But you can only truly make choices from a place of self-care once you've ditched the diet dogma for good. Freedom comes first from permission to have that freedom. So what does real food freedom look like? Food freedom is not conditional. There is no eat anything if it's clean, if it has no sugar, if it's on the weekend, if it's before 6 p.m. or after 6 a.m. There are no conditions or constraints. Food freedom is not measured. 80-20, 90-10. If calories, macros, or points are involved, this is not freedom. It's a rule. Food freedom allows you full permission to eat all foods. It neutralizes food. A brownie holds the same weight as a piece of kale because food has no morals. Food freedom allows you the space to learn what truly feels good in your body. When you're able to choose from all foods without pretense, you begin to learn what foods feel good in your body and when. You begin to develop a knowledge about yourself in a way you never have before. And food freedom does not categorize foods as good or bad. It doesn't cut out food groups in order to find your balance. It recognizes that balance is found by tuning in, not cutting out. Food freedom means tuning into your body's innate wisdom of hunger and fullness, most of the time. It also means sometimes you eat even when you're not hungry or when you're already full. Food freedom kicks guilt and shame to the curb. Food freedom takes the rules away from eating and replaces them with choice. It takes away the morality of foods being healthy or unhealthy and replaces it with the idea that any food can be a healthy food if it's serving us in some way. Food freedom allows you to choose foods that are truly satisfying. When you choose the foods that are satisfying, you naturally eat less of those foods and are better able to honor your body's natural satiety cues. Food freedom allows you to make choices about food from a place of self-care. This might mean choosing the burger. It might mean choosing the salad. It allows you to make choices based on how you want your body to feel, not how you think you should choose. Food freedom takes knowledge about food and nutrition and uses it for good, not evil. It doesn't use knowledge to restrict, but empower us to knowingly choose foods that feel good and nourish our bodies, but also make the choice to choose foods that are less nutritious if that's what our body's desiring in that moment. Food freedom lets you enjoy dessert first. When we make peace with food, all food, we tune into our body's actual cues, the ones we were born with, those of hunger and fullness and satisfaction, and yes, even nutrition. As much as we believe we will only choose donuts and Doritos if we decide to make peace with all food, our bodies are hardwired to eat intuitively. They're designed to crave wellness, real wellness. Food freedom is not found in inflexible meal plans or only eating clean, in Whole30ing to make an excuse out of restricting yourself of entire food groups. Freedom is found in discovering what feels good in your body. This might mean stepping outside your usual plate to try foods that are nutrient-dense to find what fits. It might mean choosing to eat more vegetables from a place of self-care and self-love. But coming from a place of self-loathing will never result in lasting change or true wellness. Because true wellness doesn't fit into a box. It doesn't have a name or a category or a label. That's because true wellness is unique to you. Wellness is a process of discovering a balance that comes naturally when you commit to making peace with all food and seeing dragon fruit as equal to a donut. Food freedom isn't easy work, but neither is dieting. But only one lasts for a short period of time, leaving us feeling defeated. One allows you peace and freedom in food forever. Now the question is, which will you choose? Friend, thank you so much for allowing me to share more insight with you on what food freedom truly is. I would love to connect more with you on Instagram and Facebook. I'm at Healthy Mama Kris. You can find recipes and articles about real food and finding freedom in it all at healthymamakris.com. And as always, I would love for you to go ahead and give this a review, a star rating. Every review, every rating, every subscribe helps this podcast be seen and heard by more women that need to hear it. I hope you feel healthy, happy, and whole. Have a beautiful day, friends.